everybody, and welcome back to our latest episode of Tenacious V's podcast. This week we will be discussing an Afghani woman named Malalai Kakar. She was the first policewoman ever in Afghanistan and just paved the way for some really incredible things by other women in her country. She fought through incredible amounts of adversity and just did some really amazing things. Beyond being the first woman police officer and serving out of the Taliban headquarters, she was an incredible lady, and I just feel really honored that Julia chose to help us learn about her. She was really fun, and we hope you get as inspired as Kayla did. We really hope you enjoy this episode and come back soon for more. Assalamu alaikum, friends.
And welcome back to the Tenacious V's podcast. Today we're going to be researching into a very more modern woman, but still very important nonetheless. The woman we're going to be researching or discussing today is Malalai Kakar. So, Kayla, what do you know about Malalai?
I don't know what language that was, but wait, no, that's Malala. Malala. Is it her? No, okay.
She's not alive.
Oh, duh.
Malala's
That's
alive.
why. Okay, that's why I was thinking I was getting confused, and I don't know who it is because that's the only name like that I have ever heard. So I don't know what language. What language is that?
Arabic.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. No clue.
So, Malalai Kakar was born in 1967. She was born in the police officer and government-driven shadow of her father and her brothers. When she was only 15 years old in 1982, she followed in her father's footsteps and joined the government security forces in Kandahar. So once she had finished schooling at 15, she immediately just jumped right in, trained in military forces to become the first woman police officer in the Afghanistan southern province.
Damn, she just sent it.
Mm-hmm.
Good job.
So the beginning of her career was kind of marred by the rise of the Taliban in the mid-1990s.
Right.
So with the Taliban in charge, women were banned from public eyes, so she was forced to no longer work.
Ugh.
Yeah, so just as she was like starting to kind of revolutionize the police force, you know, in the mid-90s, when she was like young and like, you know, aspiring and everything, was right when the Taliban took
One
force.
step forward, 10 steps back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so annoying. She must have been so pissed.
Yeah, but in 2001, the Taliban was overthrown by an American-led coalition. The first woman in Afghanistan back to the police force was Malalai. The most impressive part of this was because she was an officer in Kandahar, which was the headquarters for the Taliban.
Ooh.
Well, no, not necessarily the headquarters, like once they rose to
in
power.
the 1990s.
But like once they were like forming as a group.
Right.
But still rough. Like, that's got to be where their main support still is, and the people that still want them back in power.
People, like, quite honestly, that probably wanted her dead. Like, that's a scary spot to be in.
She did it, though, and she was
did.
the first woman to ever graduate from the Kandahar Police Academy and the first to become an investigator for the police force.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So she would leave the house like in a burqa and to go to work so that she would remain anonymous, and then as soon as she would get to work, would take the full burqa off and was like donning her police garb and her gun. Her influence in the area was just absolutely astounding. It was significant and it was absolutely necessary to the police force at that time. So just getting out of the reign of the Taliban, she rose up the ranks and became the captain of the Department of Crimes Against Women.
Nice.
Which was a big thing because they went from a, you know, kind of a ruling of women can't leave the house.
Yeah.
They can't be in the public eye whatsoever. To like kind of leading this small revolution in a town that was completely controlled by the Taliban.
Right.
So she was able to, like, she was so important because she was able to go into residences of like known Taliban people or known like criminals and she was able to like search it around because there was, basically if a man entered another home of a man with the women in there, it was like extremely disrespectful. It was against their culture. You're not supposed to look at another woman in her own home if it's not your family. And so she was able to actually go in and search the home, find weapons, find, like drugs or like, different plans and missions.
So she just like, in a way, she was at a huge disadvantage, but in a way she had a huge advantage that, she could still do her job and not necessarily put as big of a target on her back.
Well, and also not offending people, too.
Right, yeah.
She
was like amicable about both sides.
Yeah, they were able to remain like culturally sensitive, while still carrying out their investigation.
Not just storming the castle.
Yeah.
And since she was so geared towards women against crime, she would constantly go in and ask the women questions, which she usually didn't get very much information out of.
Well, yeah, I'm sure.
But she was able to get some intel and some kind of would like see the way that women were going like through their day-to-day activities.
Well, and I mean, like it's not always obvious, but you can tell when something's up when you've been in that many homes, I'm sure.
Well, and also men weren't allowed to search women. I mean, kind of just how we have it in America. Like, they were not allowed to touch them, pat them down or anything. So a lot of times people who were trying to hide things like weapons and stuff would hide it on their wife or their sister.
Right.
Because they'd be donning the burqa in public.
Right.
So they could transport things. Whereas she was able to stop and question and touch them if necessary. Actually, in December 2009, Colonel Shafika Kurlisha, who was the head of the Gender Issues Unit in the Afghan police, he recalls an instance where the police raided this insurgent's home. And it was like a big old raid. But she was the first one to knock on the door and the first one to enter through the door frame, so it allowed for all the other male police officers to come in behind her.
Yeah.
Because she was accepted into the home, therefore she could bring.
Piece of that.
So they raided the insurgent's home and they hid all of the women in one room and refused to let any of the men into that room. So she, by herself, went into a room full of women who may or may not have been on her side.
Who knows? Who knows what she could have been walking into?
And the whole room was stashed with illegal weapons.
Oh my god.
So she could have walked in by herself and like.
Oh my god.
Like who's to stop one of those women from gunning her down?
Well, yeah,
or 5 of them.
Yeah,
who knows?
To save like
she
their
could have been walking
or...
into just straight murder. She had no idea.
And so and she would constantly do things like that all the time. But anyway, she goes in, she located the weapons, and they were able to arrest the criminals based off of what they found because she decided to take action as a sole woman walking in.
That is so amazing. Oh my gosh, like the balls on her, dude.
Dude, she's
the ovaries on that woman.
Yeah.
Like holy shit.
She's like the most straight up Gryffindor I've ever heard of.
Yeah. In real life.
Yeah.
Brave, bold.
Absolutely.
I
don't know if you guys like read anything about this, but I wonder what her influence was on like starting those departments of the police force, because I honestly didn't even know that those were a thing in Afghanistan, and like I just don't know a lot about the area and the culture there. And so I'm surprised pleasantly to hear that they have, a gender issues department and what did you say, the Department of
Crimes
Against Women? Like, that's huge. That's a really big, I don't even think we have.
Like a specific department.
Yeah, Crimes Against Women department.
Probably, but.
Yeah, but I don't think it's something
It's not something that obviously we know that much about because otherwise we know.
If you, as the listener, know a lot about the Afghanistan politics and the Crimes Against Women department, will you please email or write us, and we will read it out to you guys on air.
Like,
we will release a mini episode just with reading out facts people have sent us that either add on or were wrong or whatever. Just let us know.
Yeah, because I want to know. There's a lot to explore there, honestly.
Well, I mean, the unfortunate part about it is when we were doing research, there's just not much information out there about her. So even though she's somewhat of a newer person, obviously this is all going down after 2001 when she's kind of rising into this power.
Right.
But even still, I couldn't find much. I don't know about you, Nona, but it's just...
Which sucks because it's such an important... There's so much misinformation coming from that part of the world.
Well, and everything I found was written in Islamic, which, I mean,
Right. You don't read.
I
You don't
don't
read
read
it.
it.
I don't know what to
So-
say, you know.
So I was piecing together from American news. So again, guys, this is a very Americanized version of the
Yeah.
story that we're telling, and we would really like to get into the nitty gritty and know
Mhm.
exactly what went down there.
Yeah.
Or just have a better perspective from that culture, you know,
Mhm.
it just doesn't even have to be firsthand or anything, but if
Right.
you just have a more accurate depiction of this, let us know. We would really like to hear it, and we will read out your story.
Yeah. And I'm happy to hear, like, that not only was she just so excited and proud to be doing what she was doing and just, like, unafraid. She was just like, this is a job that needs fucking done, and I'm here and I'm doing it. But she had to have had so much support and backing from the entire police force. Like, for her to be their sole proprietor of, like, weapons stashes and things like that and arrests, they had to have just, like, praised the shit out of her and just valued her so much. That's so awesome.
I mean, to a degree, there was pluses and minuses to being in the spotlight and being a woman, and
So there always is. Yeah.
right.
You know, there's always pros and cons, you know, from any type of spotlight, whether it be good or bad.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm sure that, especially, like, when she was doing this, it's not really a friendly climate for women in the force, women at all.
It was not, but she did bring a lot more women into it. By 2005, there was 180 women out of the 53,400 personnel in the National Police Force.
Wow.
So, I mean, went from 1 in
To
2001 to 180.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still sad that it was that small, but that's...
It's a 180% increase.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah. She also got a lot of backlash and threats, though.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's not great. But many women in the Afghan police force faced, like, mad disapproval from their family. Like, they were just not accepted by their family anymore, not, like...
But, I mean, like, that, you know, it makes sense. You're breaking the tradition, you know, your mother and your mother's mother and your grandmother's mother and everyone before you has had a role, and here you are saying, like, I want to make a difference, but...
Yeah.
Or, like, at her place of work, taking off her burqa.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, like,
that's
a big thing.
Yeah.
But just the cultural difference there is so fascinating and so crazy to me, just as, like... just a super Americanized American, like, I don't get exposed to that kind of stuff, because, you know, here it's like, awesome, good for you, everyone should be cops, like, your kid's a cop,
Yeah.
awesome, you're so excited, like, you're proud, it's a big thing, you know.
You go, Matt.
Yeah, like, it's a big thing, and to be just, you know, disowned by your family for that
ostracized.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, they also faced assault, harassment, and sexual assault from their male colleagues.
Yeah.
Colleagues.
Colleagues.
I mean, it's like to the point where, you know, you get a little booty slap at your work, you know, but like they were getting
we all face it to an extent, but that's
in cat calls.
I'm sure it was a lot more aggressive.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, because, like, what are you gonna do? Call the cops?
Yeah.
And call them and say, hey, I didn't like that. You know, it's a big, just shitty place to be in.
It was. A lot of the time they even got pushed down to be like tea runners or secretaries or like you can go file some papers so you don't hurt your nails, sweetie, type thing.
Yeah. But she didn't run from it. She was like, I don't give a shit. Like, she endured it because...
So all of them did. Yeah. All 180
all
thus
of them,
far.
Because they knew what they were doing, you know, and she started it. They didn't, so they're willing to deal with a couple assholes to fucking save their country, you know.
Yeah.
She's willing to deal with assholes and work over 15 hours a day.
Jesus.
She often said that she would have worked 24 for her people. And she managed the women's prison and was known as someone who would listen to the problems of the women everywhere.
So she was like a go-to chick.
Yeah.
The prisoners would go to her. Other female cops would go to her. Like,
that's so
citizens would go to her. I'm sure, like, a lot of female students facing that harassment because going to school was rough.
Well, yeah. It was a new thing for women to go to school.
Well, yeah, and then, of course, like, on top of that, like, having the courage alone for them to go to the police in the first place, and then to see a woman sitting across from them had to have been huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just huge for them. That's so awesome.
Yeah. And on top of all of that, which, like, I know, right?
It's
Like,
a lot.
I can't
how
even.
is there more?
I
Like,
know. I know. She was
I just
also.
like froze in my tracks. I was like, what?
But wait, there's more. She also had 6 children, was
Wow.
happily married,
Oh my God.
and like had a social life. Like she had like a normal life outside of her 15-hour cop days.
Jesus Christ. I wonder what her husband's just like place in society was.
Right.
I know,
if
I wonder
was
what he
looked
did.
down upon, or
Right, like was he looked down upon for like not marrying a woman, quote unquote, you know, and like not only that, he had to have played a huge role in raising the 6 kids. She's working 15 hours, you know, it had to have not been a
and she's in the spotlight.
typical,
she's getting threats. And
yeah,
the kids are probably getting threats.
like it had to have just as a whole family unit, just not been like a typical family at the time, you know, in that area. And it's, I bet you he faced a lot, and seems like he stood by her, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, they face scrutiny, you know, throughout her entire career, from when she was 15, rising up in the ranks, you know. And she was well known in media throughout the entire world because of how revolutionary it was that there was a woman who was a captain in a police force where the Taliban just was in charge for 5+ years, you know. One of the strictest government rulings, I mean, what, since Genghis Khan? Like,
I hope she had a lot of daughters, because
maybe not Genghis Khan, but
I just gotta throw it out there that Hitler was probably close.
Sorry.
Like, bad, very bad.
He was like,
but
not a very good guy. We can agree on that.
no, but
He was actually today. I know it's not airing today, but today is the anniversary of Hitler's suicide. So
yeah,
happy anniversary, asshole!
Wow, he killed himself 10 days after his birthday.
Yep.
What a sad 2 weeks.
That's the way it went. But yeah, here we are.
well,
Just
September 28th, 2008, her son was giving her a ride to work, and a motorbike with 2 passengers pulls up right next to their car, and shoots her point blank in the neck and head area. So I had different resources on this. One said that she was shot in the neck and it severed her artery. Another said that she was shot in the head. Either way, she was shot.
Bad
right
news
there.
bears.
That's so bad.
Yeah, and so her son was also shot. It was like bang, 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 you know.
Oh, that's so sad.
But her son did survive, thank goodness. But unfortunately, she perished. A few days later, a Taliban spokesperson, Kari Youssef Ahmadi, he said, "We killed Malalai Kakar." So they went on to national, you know.
How did I not hear about this ever? I mean, granted, I was like fucking 13, you know, but Jesus.
But he went on, they announced that the Taliban had assassinated her. The president at the time of Afghanistan, Hamid Karzai, released a statement following her death, calling the attack an act of cowardice committed by enemies of the peace and welfare and reconstruction of Afghanistan.
Absolutely.
So it was really cool that, you know, he also advocated for her.
And
for
the courage of him to say that when the Taliban is in so much power that they can straight up say, we assassinated a government figure of yours.
Yep.
And not fear any type of reprimand. And the president of Afghanistan is willing to say, hey, you know what? You're kind of a fucking coward.
Yep.
Like
you guys are little bitches.
Good for him.
Hiding behind here.
Yeah. Like, in response to an assassination, nonetheless. Like,
yeah.
He didn't give a shit. He's like, shoot me too, you assholes. Fuck you guys. Stupid.
Kayla's getting so passionate right now. It's awesome. It's just arms waving. It's just, she's into this one.
I'm sorry. It's just so cool.
It's
so
it's really cool, and it's amazing that it's so modern and so unheard of. Like, this should be a huge deal, and none of us knew about it at all.
Any part of this I've ever heard.
I mean, until now.
But, like, normally, I mean, I guess, you know, the stuff that we've done a lot so far has been, like, old and, like, folklores and things like that, so there's, like, pieces I can connect. I've never heard of any of this.
Literally the only thing I know about women in Afghanistan, and this is the absolute saddest thing about living in America,
in
not,
America,
not researching into it,
right,
is literally the picture of the woman with the green eyes who was on the front cover of National Geographic.
Right. And that's the thing.
That's the only thing I know.
There's so much misinformation that comes out because, like, I hear here and there, like, oh, good stories. Obviously not of this caliber, but, like, women are growing, blah, 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 but.
You guys 100% need to read Malalai Yousafzai's book.
Oh, you were telling me that.
Because she really delves really deep into the history of Palestine and Afghanistan and the whole war leading up to the Taliban taking over and their reign taking over, and then it gets into her personal story. So it's literally like way before she's born is when it starts, and like goes through all of the history up to like what happened to her.
I need that. I need to know. Just
and it's
because like
it's a little above my head even. Like it's coming.
Well, it's politics. But politics is fucking.
Also, just not growing up there, like her grasp of it, even as like a child, was way better than mine. Just because she grew up in that climate, she heard these things going on, and we're very. I've never heard that name or that country or that region, and
we're just a very sheltered country politically in general. I feel like
we don't teach kids, especially, and like if people don't get interested and search it out themselves, like, you just don't learn.
Then as adults, it carries on. Like you don't have that thought to, like the only thing I really know about the Middle East is like being on different social medias and like like being on Reddit here and there and like reading things that these women in these countries are posting and talking about, and so like I've gathered that things have gotten a lot fucking better since the 80s. It's been pretty alright, but there's just so much since like since the mid to late 90s when war was awful. There's just been like misinformation and just hate between both like here and there, and it's so we just don't know a lot about it, and so it's so awesome to hear a story like this. That's
especially because I feel like we're so pitted against the Middle East.
Yeah, it's
in America.
But there's no reason to be.
There's no reason to be.
Your average everyday person is not hating Americans. Like it's very similar to the Holocaust on both ends. Like we're both being force-fed misinformation about the other side to hate each other for no reason.
It's just become like
we're all just like humans.
Issue, It's like most people that have that hatred just don't even know why. Like it's just. At this point, they just grew up with their parents or their grandparents or whoever, the media, whatever, saying, "Oh, well, these Middle Easterns and blah blah blah," and it's just a like ingrained prejudice at this point, and it's ridiculous. It's stupid.
Well, and there's so many different, countries where we won't allow them to immigrate in, like and I'm not going to touch on our politics too much as far as American politics.
Yeah, no,
but
I'm not going to go
it's like,
there.
It's
just. It disheartens me that there's entire huge this is a country.
It's a huge region.
A country's entire world history shifting and becoming something new, and like this is I literally, guys, I have goosebumps because I'm so just like upset and just amazed by her.
It's like when Nefertiti and Nefertari, like I'm comparing the Taliban to them right now.
Right. Yeah,
when they like changed everything, they're like, fuck your religion, we're gonna do our religion now.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what happened.
It's a huge country shift, and it's amazing, and like it's amazing in a not so great way that no one knows about this. Not no one. I don't.
And think about how
I'm no
one. Like how 2008, I was graduating high school. I was 18 years old. How did I not know about this stuff?
I was in 8th grade. I'm sorry, Julia. That's why. I don't know why, but whenever
the group.
See, and like I don't think about Julia. Like my age gap too much with anyone, but like when I back a couple minutes ago when I was like 2008, what was I, 13? I'm like, fuck, that was 2 years ago. It's not, but that's how I felt. I was so young in 2008. I'm a baby.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I'm going to bring it back a little bit, y'all.
Anyways.
Because, this is probably my most favorite tidbit of information that I found.
Oh, save it for last. Love it.
Remember how in 2005 we were talking about there was 180 women in the police force?
Today?
So, after she passed away, so a little bit after she passed away in 2013, that number rose to 1,551 women.
Shit, yeah. Fuck, dude. Oh my god. That's...
Well, and I hate to dampen your spirits a little bit, but that number has dropped since 2013. There was a huge push right after she had passed away for like the 5 years following. So that was actually the highest that the police force had ever been for women.
But that's so.
But it did drop, and I mean, mostly it was just due to other women who were being
Mhm.
assassinated who were in roles such as hers.
Yeah.
And they weren't being assassinated by like anybody other than just the Taliban. Like they were targeting these women to prove a point, to show them up.
Right.
So other people in 2012, Hanifa Safi and Najia Siddiqui, heads of women's affairs in the Langman province, they were assassinated.
No, I do remember hearing about that.
In 2013, Islam Bibi, a mother of three and the leading female officer in Helmand, was gunned down on her way to work. A few months later, Bibi's successor, Nagar, was also shot.
Jesus Christ.
So just a few months later, then her successor was shot, and she died the next day.
Yeah.
So even though there's still like huge gender issues in Afghanistan, women like these in Malalai are paving the way for a better future for like all women.
No, and that's huge. And you know, like it's understandable that it's gone down, and it sucks. Like in a sense, they're winning, but at the same time, like you can't judge that. Like how willing would we be to go out there and
oh gosh, it's terrifying enough even in today's culture for us to do something that's like a man's role.
Like it's so scary to be like a woman cop in America. Not like this at all, but like you know, if everyone was like, if for whatever reason people just like started going and gunning down preschool teachers because you know what, fuck them, they shouldn't be teaching preschool. I don't know, horrible example. Like I'd be a little weary about continuing to teach preschool. You know, I'd be like, well, you know, maybe I don't know. So it makes sense, but so many women are just sticking it out and just putting their work first, and that's so awesome.
I mean, overall, it's progressed, and that's the biggest thing to take away.
It's a lot higher than one person.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
being the first one.
So she did her dues, and she got shit rolling. And that's awesome.
Oh yeah, she made a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, ultimately, we're curious what your guys' thoughts are on this.
Yeah.
You know, please reach out to us via email, Facebook, Instagram. And let us know, I mean, do you feel that the gender issue is here in America? Do you feel like it needs to be reformed more so in Afghanistan? Or are you proud of how far we're coming as a world to find that everybody is equal? If you're finding that there's other places where there's women who are not shown in the light, such as Malalai was. Right. I mean, before this, I had no idea.
No clue. Well, and that's the thing. It's like, if there's so much I say we. You two, not me, I drink. You two are doing so much research and just digging and digging and digging, but there's just still so much out there that we just don't know. And
we absolutely take submissions of names. We will absolutely do our due diligence and research. And if you send us a story along with it, we will include your research as well into our episode.
Absolutely.
Just let us know.
Or if there's anything super important we're missing here, guys, we want to know about it.
Yeah. And we're not wanting to perpetuate the misinformation. Like if there's something that we need to know, let us know, please. Please do.
And thank you so much for tuning into Tenacious V's podcast this week with Malalai Kakar. It was quite the journey, and it was really nice seeing Kayla get so emotional and inspired by this. I mean,
she did. She inspired me.
These women we talk about each week, that's the goal here, and we hope that we really inspire you. So thank you guys so much for listening in, and we hope you have the best rest of your day.
The best. Thank you.
Thanks for gaining some knowledge with us.
Woo!
Thanks for learning along with us about Malalai Kakar today. If you enjoyed that, you can give us a follow on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Twitter, and Podbean. We are also on Patreon and have some pretty cool offerings. As always, this episode was written, spoken, and recorded by Kayla, Nona, and Julia, and all musical contributions are by Staple Milk. We really appreciate your continued support and hope you'll come back soon. Stay tenacious.